This series of videos has been about rules that you can apply to value drawing using the rules of gradually changing values and flat values to create the illusion of dimension. In addition, we've talked about overlap and how that can impact it. In addition, we have talked about texture and how that can impact it. You have one last worksheet, and there's a picture at the bottom of it, and it's a bucket, an old wooden bucket, and a series of apples on a wooden table. Not only does it have rounded forms, things with texture, it also has shadows that are cast, so you can see that this apple is casting a shadow across this apple, and it casts shadows on the ground. Much of drawing is observation. You have some rules so you understand what you're looking at. But now I want you to use all the information that you gained from the other worksheets and take a look at this drawing and translate it up here as a drawing, a pencil drawing, using the shadows you see here. And we'll be able to do that same process either by observing an object or observing a picture of an object in future. So let's go over a few tips before we continue. The tips that have been part of these worksheets was stay inside the edges. Try not to go outside the edges and erase it, because you're going to be dealing with erasing things that are on another object. So trying to control where your edges are. Vary the amount of pressure on your pencil to create different values. You can also use different pencils if you have them available. Softer pencils will make darker colors easier, and harder pencils will make lighter colors a little more simply. Use close strokes to create a value block. You want to make sure that every pencil stroke is staying very tight so that you don't have gaps in between that you have to go back and fill in, because when you do, that gap creates an overlap and then it gets a darker streaky look. A few more tips. I would suggest you use a wooden pencil. A mechanical pencil has a very thin lead and it doesn't fill in quite as quickly. A nice dull pencil is often it gives you a little bit bolder mark. Lighten the area with an eraser if you need to, and limit your use of smudging. Smudging can be used to blend things together. It can be used to make a very light gray if you just pick up a little graphite from a dark area, but I would limit it to very light areas and things that you just need to soften a little bit. A lot of times if you smudge too much, it makes the surface look kind of dead. I started this example, and so I've taken this picture and I keep looking at it, and I've started this but I haven't finished it. And what I'm doing is I'm looking for the darkest darks and applying those as I go. You can see here's the shadow from this apple coming across. I'm not quite done with that. That still needs to be in the dark, but I'm working in the darkest darks first, trying to be aware of texture. The band on the bucket causes a shadow on both sides of it, and that you can see that in the drawing as well as where I'm going. The cracks between the bucket need to be there. As you have an apple overlap another apple, it's gonna make it darker. We've got all these values turning on the edges. A little bit off topic for that right here. It's a different kind of situation. It's where the light's hitting it really strong from the side. Haven't finished this. I want you to approach this last sheet looking at observed shadows, looking at making things look round by the rules, making things look flat with the rules, adding texture where it's appropriate, and observing where the darks and lights are in this sample that you're looking, because a drawing is essentially about observation. And even if there's a rule that says this isn't happening, but you're looking at the object and it is, then what you're seeing is probably correct. All right. So go forth and finish this last video, and that should be the end of your 4-page packet. Good luck.